What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Almost made it to the end of another work week. Gonna be a fun weekend in Seattle sports. But before we get there, while we're waiting for these games to start, I want to make another video that's kind of looking ahead to the future here. And with the Seahawks having played almost a quarter of the season, with us having a pretty decent idea of how a lot of the players on this team are doing, with us having a pretty good sample size to work with, at least to start, I want to ask people which outgoing free agents are you prioritizing for the Seahawks to get in the upcoming free agency period? So this is just outgoing free agents, guys who are Seahawks right now who have expiring contracts in the upcoming offseason. So I pulled up this list from Spotrac. I believe it is comprehensive. So let's go through some of the names here and try to figure out who might be worth keeping. And before you commit to anything, remember there isn't exactly a ton of money to go around. Now, we're going to be able to free up some money, but you got to understand, we have committed significant amounts of this cap to guys like Geno Smith, guys like Draymond Jones, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams. These guys are almost certainly not going anywhere, and they've already been given their big contracts. So there's not a ton of money to go around. The money you spend on keeping somebody on this list is definitely going to restrict you from being able to bring in guys from the outside. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of the names here. First guy on the list, the guy who is earning the biggest average annual salary in 2023 is Bobby Wagner. He is going to turn 34 right before the season starts next year, I believe. So he's getting up there, but he is playing really good football. Honestly, the way he's playing, he could probably get a raise from either the Seahawks or another team if he wanted to push it. However, Bobby Wagner has made about $100 million in his career in NFL salary. I think it's like 101 million technically. So he might be in a point in his life where he's just like, just pay me whatever. I don't really care about the money anymore. I just want to play somewhere where I like to be, where I feel appreciated, where I feel wanted, and the money's just kind of whatever to me now. I've made enough money. Maybe he's there. Like, based on the way he's playing so far this year, and obviously we're going to find out a lot more about him in the coming few months. He probably deserves a multi-year contract that pays him close to 8 figures a year. But because of the circumstances, would he take another 1 year, $6 million a year, $6 million deal? Maybe. So Bobby Wagner, obviously kind of the big name here. We've got Phil Haynes. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's on a $4 million deal. He's playing pretty well. He just struggles to stay healthy. If you brought him back next year, you'd probably have to give him something similar. 1 year, 4 million, maybe a little bit more because he's playing well, maybe a little bit less because he keeps getting hurt. But it's probably going to still be around there. I don't think Phil Haynes gets a multi-year deal. He's not that kind of player. Drew Lock, also a free agent, making 4 million this year. If you bring him back, you're probably going to have to pay him at least that much, maybe a little bit more. I would guess 1 year, 5 million, because the market's going to keep going up for backup quarterbacks. So I don't know how much enthusiasm there's going to be around that one. Devin Bush, um, going to still be relatively young going into next season, 26 years old. Not really playing that much this year because of what's going on with Brooks and Wagner. He may play a bunch eventually for this team, but as of right now, he's kind of the third man that just plays the occasional snap. I still think he's a pretty decent player, and I wouldn't mind having him around his depth, but we may need him to actually play a significant role in the defense next year if somebody else leaves. Because as you can see, actually, our top three linebackers are all free agents next year. Good chance we don't bring back all of them. We might bring back one of them. Maybe we don't bring back any of them. It's possible. So, assuming that Devin Bush's value doesn't change that much because he's not going to play that much this year, and you can get him for like 1 year, 4 million because the market goes up a little bit, I'd probably be okay with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. Jordan Brooks, next free agent, he's coming off his rookie deal, and he is currently having his best year ever, I think. I think he's playing the best football of his career. So you combine that with his gaudy tackle stats, which I think are going to make people think he's better than he is. he could get a monster deal. We're talking like 4 years, 60 million. It would not surprise me if Jordan Brooks needs something like 4 years, 60 million to keep him around. I'm personally not really into doing that, but that may very well be what it costs, especially if he keeps up this level of play. But his stats alone are going to probably beckon some team to give him the big bucks. Next guy is Evan Brown. He took a very cheap 1 year deal with Seattle this year, but the way he is playing for us, he could probably do a little bit better next offseason if he wants to. Now, if we just decide to move on to Oluwatimi next year, there's no decision to make. Evan Brown, I'm sure he wants to play, right? He would definitely go somewhere else. Somewhere else is going to give him more money and give him playing time. And the way he's playing, he could probably get a multi-year deal, but if maybe we're not feeling so great about Oluwatimi for one reason or another at the end of the year, would you bring him back for like 6-7 million a year? I'm just estimating what it could be, by the way. I don't actually know. He's been decent so far. Centers usually get paid around that amount. The market's going up. It could end up being something like 8 million a year, like 3 years, 24 million. I don't know if I can do that, but if it's like 5 million a year for a couple years, yeah, he's probably worth that, and I'd be okay with that if for some reason we're not feeling Oluwatimi. Daryl Taylor is a restricted free agent next year. I've talked about this before. So the contract that we can give him is actually slotted based off his draft positioning. So he was a second round pick. I can't remember the exact amount off the top of my head, but it's only a couple $1,000,000. It's very cheap. So in my mind, there's no decision to make. If you can bring back Daryl Taylor on a 1 year deal for just a few $1,000,000, you do it. You do it instantly, easy, no decision to make. He's easily worth whatever that RFA tag is. And if somebody wants to try to take him away from you and give you a second round pick back, all the better. Next free agent would be Mario Edwards. This one would be fine. I'm kind of indifferent. Players like this come and go. They fluctuate wildly in their level of play from 1 year to another year. So I'm not sitting here thinking that Mario Edwards is this consistent Pro Bowler for us now and we have to keep him. But he is playing well for us right now. But if he moves on, I wouldn't be particularly torn up by that. Damian Lewis is a very interesting one. I don't know exactly what kind of money he would pull in. It's hard to say. He's not playing that well so far this year, and he doesn't really fit what we're doing. And the way he's playing doesn't really make sense given what he was coming out of college and what he's been in previous years. I don't know what Damian Lewis could get, but based off the way he played last year, it's probably something like 4 years, 40 million, 4 years, 44 million. I don't really want to do that. I'm trying to get younger here. I'm trying to get a better fit with our offense. I'm trying to get somebody who's going to be a little bit more uh, comfortable with what we want our guards to do. So to me, Damian Lewis, I it's possible that his asking price is going way down right now because he's not having a great season so far. It could go down to like 6 or 7 million a year. I still kind of want to move on. Next guy is Colby Parkinson. I already spoke about this guy in a previous video. I think he could get 7 to 8 million a year for like 2 or 3 years, and I'd be okay with that. Um, it's not super comfortable because he hasn't produced as a TE1 yet, but it seems like he could, but we're speculating to a certain degree. So I wouldn't love it, but we do need some tight ends, and Colby sticking around would make this offseason a lot easier. So if Colby wants like 3 years, 7 mil per, sure. DJ Dallas, he's just like a Vetmin guy, I think, maybe Vetmin plus. I feel no need to bring him back. We can draft somebody in the sixth round and probably get similar stuff to what DJ gives us. I will say this. There is some very nice flexibility with DJ Dallas because he handles returning and he's a pretty good pass catcher and pass protector. So he's kind of a jack of all trades, but I don't feel the need to pay big money to keep him around when he's not great at any one thing. Michael Jackson is a restricted free agent, but we've clearly kind of fallen out of love with him. If we wanted to keep him, it would only cost a couple $1,000,000. Um, Maybe we keep him around for depth purposes, like having a semi-decent backup cornerback for a couple $1,000,000 for a year is good. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But we might want to say we can get even cheaper by picking up somebody in the draft or in UDFA and we're already kind of over this guy anyway, so why commit to it? So I'm pretty indifferent there. Miles Adams is a exclusive rights free agent next year, according to Spotrac. Sometimes Spotrac gets this wrong. He might be a restricted next year. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, I want to keep Miles Adams. Whether he's exclusive rights or restricted, he's going to be very cheap. And I think we get good bang for our buck out of him. I like him as a depth defensive lineman. Definitely want to bring him back. Jake Curhan is going to be a restricted free agent this offseason after his third year as a UDFA. So I want to bring Curhan back for sure. It's only going to be a couple million. He's a quality backup tackle who also has some guard flexibility. He has a lot of experience playing over the last few years. Yeah, I want Jake Curhan back. I'm willing to give him that 1 year, couple $1 million tender. It's super cheap, super fair. Joshua Onujiogu, he's ER exclusive rights apparently. Either way, doesn't mean anything to me. Ben Brown, exclusive rights. Either way. Austin Faolu, exclusive rights. Either way. These are all guys that are going to be super cheap. They'll cost less than $1 million against the cap. I don't have any strong feelings about that. I don't think it really matters that much. Either you like them enough to keep them around at the back end of the roster, or you decide I want to go get a rookie, a UDFA guy to replace them, and it doesn't really matter that much at that point to me. So that's what I got for these guys. Let me know what you think. Who are you prioritizing keeping? At this point, even though I know we're playing with fire, I do kind of want to keep Wagner around as long as he's willing to keep the cost down and not have some long-term commitment to him that would handcuff us if he does fall off. I do kind of want to keep Devin Bush and, of course, Daryl Taylor. And those would be the main guys I'm prioritizing right now, I think. Taylor just because he's cheap. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.